Hi, today I'm on the outskirts of Peterhead and the plan is to walk up the hill behind me and drop down into a hidden valley where hopefully we're going to find a hidden World War II underground bunker. So first things first, I'll get up the hill and then I'll tell you a little bit more about why I'm looking for it and what it actually is I'm looking for. So let's get up the hill first. Well, that's me here, so I suppose I better give you a bit more detail about why I'm here and what I'm looking for. So here comes the history bit. Following the fall of France in May 1940 and the very high likelihood of the invasion of the British Isles, the Prime Minister Winston Churchill instructed Colonel Colin Gubbins to create a secret force of civilian volunteers. Auxiliary units was the innocuous code name given to the volunteers, who were intended to carry out sabotage and guerrilla warfare, spying from behind enemy lines in the event of a successful German invasion. Where the rest of the population would be told to keep calm and carry on, this small group of people would be expected to keep calm and cause chaos and destruction wherever they could. The small local groups were referred to as fighting patrols or just patrols, and they were usually made up of 5 to 8 men with a sergeant in charge. The patrols made up the area groups, which were then managed by a local intelligence officer. Secrecy was vital to the patrols to operate, and their families were normally totally unaware of the dangerous role they were undertaking. The patrols would know the identities of their neighbouring patrols and they would train with them, identifying resources and features that would become targets in the event of an invasion. Volunteers were uniformed as Home Guard for a cover story which would help explain away any unusual behaviour observed by the public. Many of the patrol members had actually been recruited from the Home Guard. They eventually became part of the GHQ Special Reserve Battalions, with the distinctive numbers of 201 for Scotland and the North, 202 for the Midlands and 203 for the Southern Counties. By the end of World War II, there were over 3,000 men secretly trained as members of local patrols, mainly on coastal areas but covering the whole of the British Isles. Now, once a patrol was established, its initial role would be to set up its secret underground base in the area. These bases were referred to as OBs, which was short for operational bases, and it would be where they would operate from in the event of a full invasion of Britain. Now, once the unit had set up an OB, it would then start training and equipping for its primary role. The plan was they would emerge at night from their underground OBs and carry out attacks and acts of sabotage against the enemy targets, such as supply dumps, railway lines, convoys and enemy occupied airfields. For these activities, they were equipped with a variety of firearms, explosives, timing devices and detonators. Here in northeast Scotland in late 1941 there were 32 patrols that had 4 group leaders with a total of 220 trained men. There were 26 operational bases already built with another 4 under construction and a further 2 more planned. Now in Peterhead the patrol consisted of 6 men. They were led by Sergeant Tom Catto, who was a draper in the town. His 2IC was Corporal Norman Tate, who was an assistant storeman at the Crossland Blackwell factory. As well as them, there was Private Tom Alexander, a doorman at the Regal Cinema, Private Charles Clay, an assistant grocer at Duncan's, Private David Gordon, who was an apprentice butcher at Booth's, and Private David Wilson. Now the Peterhead patrol members were known to wear their issued uniforms on Sundays to help reinforce the Home Guard GHQ Reserve cover story within the town. The Peterhead Patrol's original operational base was located in the cellar of the tower in St Peter's Cemetery, South Road, Peterhead. The tower was built in the early 1800s as a lookout for grave robbers. Now the location was considered as far from ideal as it was way too close to the town and was hard to keep secret, so a new location was sought. The new OB was built in a field at Inverughy on land that belonged to Mount Pleasant. It was defined on official paperwork as located in a field of sloping ground in a mini valley close to Inverughy railway station. This location was also confirmed by Sergeant Tom Catto to his son by pointing to the area on a map and stating that that's where we were based. So there you go, now you know why I'm in a mini valley on Mount Pleasant land, walking distance from the location of the old Inverughy railway station. Now, I spend a lot of time normally researching my history sections, but this one particularly has taken a lot of time. I have spent most of the winter walking up and down this small valley, checking out leads that I've found on the maps and information I've gathered, trying to find this bunker. I have been turning over logs, I have been looking for any slight irregularity in the ground. Now, there's nothing obvious here. So what I did do is I started consulting old Ordnance Survey maps from 1938. Also, we used the pamphlet that was given to the auxiliary units that gave them advice on where to locate their bases, their underground bunkers. And one of the things it said was you need to be able to get to your bunker in the dark without the aid of a torch. So they told them that they should follow an established fence line, preferably a stone wall or a good line of trees or something like that. Now this location here, there is a very mature line of trees that runs all the way up to the road that goes up to Mount Pleasant Farm on the other side of this valley, and that was most definitely there in 1938. And actually in the middle of the trees is a pathway, so there's a hidden path that runs from the Mount Pleasant track. Now the Mount Pleasant track runs down to the road over there, which is about 300 yards from where the Inverughy railway station was. It's no longer there, the beaching cuts took that line out, but that's where the railway station was. So it would be a short walk from the station, walking up the pathway to the farm or the big house at the top of the hill, and then quickly diving down into this hedge and coming down to the bottom here. And then there's a bridge over the burn, which was also there in 38. It's marked on the Ordnance Survey map, and quickly up to where I'm sitting. Now, where I'm sitting is where I think the bunker is. Now, I would love to have opened a hatch and it be there and climb inside, and yeah, brilliant. But yeah, that's not how things work in the real world. And this whole valley has been altered since 1938. There were no trees here originally. All the trees have been planted here since the war, and the ground has been disturbed. But what I have done is I've been using ground penetrating radar scans. Now, I've actually downloaded from the National Library the LiDAR scans for this area, and they showed 3 anomalies. They show where the ground has been disturbed. There was one at the top of the hill over there There was one down by the river and one here. Now, the other two checked out to be nothing. This one, I'll put it up on the screen now, is a rectangular anomaly. Very unusual in nature to have such a square-edged anomaly. Also, the ground here looks like it's been built up. There's a bump of earth here, quite a big bump of earth. Now, I think that this was where they had their underground base, and I think at some point it's been filled in. Now, that's not unusual, because at the end of the war, the Royal Engineers were tasked with filling in all of the known bases. Now, Peterhead at the end of the war was very busy with the Royal Engineers, because all the beaches along the coast here were mined, and the Royal Engineers were based in Peterhead for a good number of years clearing the beaches, and it's quite feasible that they came here and filled this in, or a farmer will have filled it in because it will have been unsafe. It would have been an underground bunker that was accessed from the roof, and there are houses around here, so it may have been done by a farmer for safety. But nevertheless, I'm willing to state my claim that I think this is the location of the Peterhead Auxiliaries base. This is it. Now, yeah, I haven't got a bunker to camp in tonight, but I have got lots of trees, and I brought my hammock with me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk that way a bit, where I'm out of sight. There's a house just there, and Mount Pleasant is just the other side of there as well, and I would be pretty much in plain sight here. So I think I'm going to walk down the valley a little bit more, and I'm going to camp down there where the trees are a bit bigger and where I'm going to be out of sight. So I think we'll go and do that. So I'll take you with me through the trees. Well, that's me down to the other end of the hidden valley, and I think somewhere around here will do. So I think what I'll do is I'll take a quick look at the trees, and then I'll get the hammock and the tarp set up. It was just raining a minute ago. It's been threatening all day, but I think I might just miss it. It's really humid, but I think it looks like the weather is heading out to sea. So fingers crossed we'll be dry tonight. So I'm going to have a quick look which trees are the right distance apart, and then I shall set up camp. So that's the camp all fully set up, and I often get asked about what kit I use, so I thought I'd show you my hammock setup. Now, I'm no expert. I'm pretty much a novice when it comes to hammock camping, and I'm sure there are way better setups than the one I use, but it works for me and I find it very comfortable. So I'll spin the camera around and I'll show you what I'm using tonight. So that's the setup, and what I've actually got is the main hammock is a one wind 11-foot zipper hammock, and I like it because it has a bug net incorporated into it, and it has a Dyneema tensioned ridge line, so you don't have to mess around getting all the angles bang on. You just pull it fairly tight and it works. I rock an under blanket pretty much all year round. It's a thin one, it's a one Tigerist, cheap and cheerful, and obviously it's camo because that's me. Inside I'm still using my kind of winterish sleeping bag, so it's my
OEX Leviathan, and I use 2 blow-up Trekology pillows, one at the head and there's one underneath over here which goes behind my knees. And then on the ridge line is where I keep my phone, my torch, and you know, it's a man bag, that is. So above it I've got a pretty lightweight 3x3 digital camo tarp, and I'll use it in a diamond configuration. Now this only really works when it's not, you know, heavy rain forecast, because as you can see it only just covers this hammock. Now I've actually got a 3.5 by 3.5 DD tarps one, which I use in a normal kind of, what would you call that, envelope A-frame style over it when I'm in the winter, when it's bad weather. But this actually works remarkably well, and what I do like about it is you get to see a lot of stuff like around this area. So when you're lying in your hammock, you actually still get a view of the stars. And I've got my seat, which is my Helinox seat, which you've got to have somewhere to sit down. And I put a cheap and cheerful tarp on the ground, which is a 2x2 thing off Amazon, a really cheap disposable thing, because you know the tarp that you put on the ground is eventually, you know, you're going to stand on it and put twigs through it. So I wouldn't have a good one for that, but it gives you something to step on and take your shoes off when you get into your hammock, but it also gives you somewhere to lay your kit down. And my Bergen will just sit there. It's underneath the overhanging tarp, and it's kept dry from the ground, so that's pretty good there. And at the other end I've got one of these things here, which is, I'll stand back a bit, I think they call them snake skins or something like that. I got it from DD Hammocks, and the idea is, you know, if you get a really fine night, which we do occasionally, you just disconnect the 2 bungees, which I use for the other ends of the bungee, which is kind of over there and over there. You just unclip them, slide this along, and what that does is it just keeps it kind of rolled up on the ridge line, and you get a full view of the stars. And if it does start to rain, all you got to do is slide it back, clip the 2 bungees on, and you're ready to rock. But I've decided that I'm gonna set it out straight away, because as you probably gathered, the sky is a bit on the grey side and we might get some of the wet stuff. So I've deployed the tarp already. But yeah, that's what that is, a snake skin. And similar little thing here, this is the bag for the hammock. It just lives there, and then when I'm putting it away, I don't have to drag the hammock onto the floor to pack it. Well, there you go. That's my hammock setup. Not the lightest in the world, but certainly not the heaviest. I think it came in at about 13 kilos with 3 kilograms of water. So the kit was about 10 kilos. That's a bit heavier than my tent camping kit, but not that much. So it's all right, and it's not too heavy to carry in. Now, I think, well, the sun's going down quite quickly. I'm going to just sit here and chill out and listen to the birds, and I'll bring you back when it's dinner time. And I've definitely got noodles tonight. I've got some Japanese noodles, so I'll bring you back when it's time for Japanese noodles and Japanese drinks. Well, it's time for noodles, and it's a bit of a luxury to be cooking in the daylight, but it's about 7:30. It's still light, time to get some dinner on. And tonight I'm having Japanese ramen. So Nissan Deme Ramen Japanese curry. There we go. And I've got 2 of them with me. I think I'm only going to have the one. But we've got that. We've got some pepper armies, which are in my bag somewhere. And I've got this. And it's Hata Pineapple Japanese soda. And it's a weird top. It's one of the old kind of push the marble into the bottle like you used to get in the 1940s. I can't remember ever seeing one of those. So, yeah, that's a pineapple drink, some Japanese curry, and if there's any room left, obviously, deluxe rice pudding. And there's always room for pudding, let's be honest. Now, I'm cooking it on what's rapidly becoming my go-to stove, the Fire Maple Titanium and the Coleman Extreme Gas. And I'll be boiling my water up in my Tokes titanium 750ml pot, and I'll be boiling 500 mils of water. And I'm using a slightly different pot this time. My good lady wife bought me a stainless steel version of my noodle bowls. So now, if my noodles start going cold like they were when it was winter, I can whack that on the stove and reheat them a bit. So that's actually going to be quite a useful pot, and it's still got the kind of noodle lid on it as well. Another Japanese or Korean thing, I think. So I shall get the water on, and I'll bring you back when the noodles are ready for slurping. So I'll see you in a minute, or about 3 minutes. So the water's nearly ready, so I'll show you what I've done. Hacked up some pepperonis, and we'll open this up. It's the first time I've opened one of these. We'll see what we get. Okay, so we've got one sachet. Yeah, so it's very basic. A curry powder sachet, I think, and the thin, very basic ramen noodles. So put all that in there. Oh, break it up a bit. Actually, that's slightly different. That's slightly different to the normal ramen. It's kind of shiny. I don't know what they are. Yeah, as you'd expect, everything's written in Japanese, so I'm not sure, but I'm gonna open up this sachet. There you go, that's the water just coming up to the boil now. I'll open that up. Oh, and that's very yellow. We'll tip that in. Oh, that's a lot of powder. And yeah, I'll lean over and turn the water off and put it in. I'll give it a few minutes and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like when it's ready to eat. So that's the noodles ready to eat, and I did actually decipher the writing on the back. There is a little bit of sort of English on the back, and you actually cook the noodles before you put the powder in. So these are ones a bit like super noodles that you add the water, bring it up to the boil and simmer them for 2 minutes, it says, and then add the thing. And I did notice that they weren't softening up. They'd sat for about 5 minutes and they weren't softening up. So I put the whole lot on the heat, give them a bit more of a heat, and they plumped up and softened quite nicely. So it was quite fortuitous that I bought the steel pot that my good lady wife bought for me. So they're ready to go, and already they smell and look like, if you've ever had a Japanese katsu curry, it's like that, a bright yellow sauce, and it's actually thickened up quite a bit. There's like a starch that's come off the noodles, and there must be corn flour in the actual powder because it thickened up when I added it to the hot water. But before we eat that, we'll have a look at this Hatta pineapple Japanese soda. So we'll have a look at this weird top. So that bit peels off, then there's a plastic cap that's protecting a glass ball bearing, a glass marble in the top. What I'm going to do, I think you just press it. So I'll put it by the mic. Oh, maybe not. How do you do that? Oh, I know. That must be what it's for. So do you bang that? No. Hang on a minute. We'll work this out. Ah, there's a thing. So that presses out of the packet, and I think you put that on the top, and yay! Look at that. So how weird. I know you can see the ball bearing in there, look. The ball bearing, the glass marble. And wow, that smells of pineapple. God, that smells great. Oh, that's wacky. That's good, and it's a bit weird because the marble rolls back and blocks the bottle. That's crazy. That's really nice. That's pineapple flavoured Japanese soda. So I'm gonna dab my moustache and grab my noodles. I'm gonna put that bottle down so it don't fall over. That would be a terrible waste if that fell over. Here we go. Take the lid off. And yeah, they've thickened up. Can we see that? Without tipping them everywhere. Yeah, they've thickened up nice. They look hot. So just the first taste. Oh yeah, katsu curry, definitely. Oh man. Now that's good. Not really a chili hit at all, but very flavoursome. And it does taste like a Japanese curry. Of course it does, it is a Japanese curry, but from my experience of katsu curry, which is the only Japanese curry I know, that tastes just like that, and this tastes good. So I am going to spare you seeing me slurp the rest of these down, and I'll come back at the end and give you my verdict, but initial findings are very nice. Well, that's the noodles done, and surprisingly good. So Dame Ramen Nissan, Dame Ramen Japanese curry noodles, 8 out of 10. I mean, surprisingly good, and zero chili hit at all. I don't know if there's any chili in there. Slightly peppery and definitely spicy, with a really nice kind of mild curry flavour and very nice textured noodles. Yes, I think you'd be better off heating them in the water than doing them like a soup, because they took a long time to soften, but it was worth the effort. Very much like them, and I'm quite surprised because they look like bog standard ramen, but no, definitely worth it. So be having those again. Thankfully, quite a few packs of them as well. Now, Hatta pineapple Japanese soda, absolutely brilliant. And hey, every day's a school day. I said that the stopper ball blocked it every time you swigged. Well, it does if you do it that way, but there's two little dimples in the bottle. And as you pour it, look, I know you can see that, I'll bring it closer. The ball bearing, the ball catches on those little things and allows you to drink out of it. So there you go. Every day's a school day. How you drink out of a glass ball bottle. Look for the little dimples and pour that side to you. And that I really like. Now, I don't even know where we got that from, but that was really nice. So I should be having that again if I can find it. Now, as I ate a very light ramen meal, I've fortunately left space for pudding. So tonight, deluxe rice pudding. So I'm going to go and eat that now. And I'll probably bring you back when it's dark. I'm in my hammock and I'm ready for my bed. So I'll see you in a bit. Well, guess which idiot left the camera in time-lapse mode? So basically, what I was saying here was the sun had dropped and the temperature was dropping too, and it was time to get into my hammock and hunker down for the night. So, good night everybody, and I'll see you in the morning. Ta-da! Well, good morning everybody. It's just after 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun is up and the pheasants are screeching all around me. So I've got up a little earlier than I was planning, but I might as well get up, have a brew, strike camp and get out of here while it's dry. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get up, get some breakfast, cup of tea and a chocky biscuit, leisurely tidy up, and this time I'm walking home because I'm only actually about 40 minutes from home. So nice gentle walk home, and I'll see you in the wash up back at base. So I'll see you then. Well, that's me all packed up. I've had a cup of tea and some biscuits, and my rubbish is all packed away, and I'll obviously, as usual, leave no trace. So I'll turn it around. So I've left it as clean as I found it. So I'm going to get my rucksack on and I'll nice leisurely walk home, and I'll see you back at base for a wash up for the highs and lows and any other information I've got about where I've been camping. So I'll see you when I get back home. Well, that's me back home, and all in all, a really great camp. Yes, I would love to have been able to find that bunker, but the whole search was very much on a time crunch as the land opposite is being cleared for development for houses,
and they're also clearing part of the valley. I assume they're putting a footpath or something in, but nevertheless the place is going to be swarming with builders very soon, so I didn't really have much more time to carry on searching, but I will keep an eye on the place to see if anybody kind of turns up any bits of archaeology that will point to this base that I've been looking for. But anyway, I moved down to the other end of the valley and I had a great camp down there. Nature was all around, there were lots of bird song, and when I woke up in the morning there were roe deer and pheasants all around me. Just a great camp, and yep, the noodles were brilliant. Now I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, it would be great if you could leave me a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, if you could click the subscribe button below, it would greatly help the channel. That all being said, until the next one, I'll say ta-ra. Ta-ra a bit.